Hello YouTube. You've seen a previous video where I replaced the headlight switch on the car, and today I gotta take the instrument panel off, really the instrument gauges off, so I can check the connections back there, because I still don't have the dash lights. Everything else works except that, so I'm gonna have to take this dash apart basically, and to get to the gauges, behind the gauges, and check, make sure everything is connected properly. The first thing you'll have to do is drop the steering wheel down to the lowest position. So I'm just gonna, there you go. Okay, and now after that, I'm gonna have to take the stereo out. So first thing I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna take the stereo out. As you've seen in my previous video, I had to remove the light switch now. Just simple, just throw some flat screwdriver in there and pry it, and it'll come straight out. See the clips right here? That's all that holds it in. Okay, now I just gotta unplug it, put it to the side, and then I'm gonna have to work on getting this panel here off. You just stick a screwdriver on here and on this side, and this whole piece will just drop down. Now I just removed the bottom panel under the column. Real simple. I just use two bolts that hold it in along the bottom right here. They're two 7mm bolts. I took those loose, and then you get like a little screwdriver or something and pry down here, and there's some clips right here and some on the other side of the steering column, and the whole thing just plops right down and you can pull it out. Okay, I just took the stereo out, but I'm going to take this whole panel out too, which means you got to have a special tool that you stick in both of these holes here to pull this whole panel out, so I can get to some bolts that's on the inside that hold this piece and part of this into the dash. I'm going to get the tools right now, and the first thing I'm going to do is take this whole panel out so I can have access to the bolts. Okay, I got the stereo removed. This is the reason why I took the stereo out first, so I can move everything further down, so I can reach. There's 7mm bolts. There's 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those got to go. And we got 2 that are up here on the upper part of the dash, got to remove. And that's only so I can get this plastic trim to move. So I can get, there's a 1 7mm bolt under this trim. So I just took all the bolts loose so I can get to that bolt right here. And then after we move all that and get that bolt out, there's some clips along the edges here that you got to use a flat screwdriver or a tool or a panel removing tool to pry off. So this whole piece, the whole center console piece here, will come out as one. Okay, let's get it going. Okay, once I pull the trim back, there was 1 7mm bolt right here that I said was under the switches right here. It's right there. And once you remove all that, you can just stick a flat screwdriver, a real small one, not a thick one, so you don't mess up your panels and stuff. You dig it in here and just pop out all the clips, going all the way around. And you notice this whole piece popped forward and came out. Now you're going to have to remove, there's the switch back here. You got to unplug it from the back so this whole piece can come out, so then you have access to your gauges. Now that I got the panels off, now this is basically getting to the gauges themselves. There are some 7mm bolts right here on each corner. 1, 2, and then some in the opposite corner, same areas. 1, 2. You just got to take those loose, and then you should be able to slide the whole piece out in one piece. Cluster come out like this. But first, make sure that your batteries is disconnected so you don't have any shorts or anything. And then you'll have access to the back of the of the gauges, or if you want to replace them, or if you just want to check the connections. Okay, I got it out, basically cleaned it up a little bit. The issue I had was there was no backlights, the background lights, so I'm driving blind at night. So what I did was I cleaned out the contacts back here. There was actually, looked like corrosion up in here in these little prongs here. So what I did was I got me some alcohol swabs and everything, and I cleaned up on the inside of here, and there was, looked like rust and stuff in there. So I cleaned that up, and now I'm ready to put this back in the car and see if everything works. Another thing too, depending on the Taurus you have, mine had a column shift. Most don't. Depends on the model. The base models have them in the column. If that is the case, you'll have a cable coming from here to the column. You're gonna basically take this bolt out, take it off from the column, and just feed it around this way so you can pull the gauges out. If you have the floor mounted shifter, you won't have this going into here. You just can just pull everything out. But that's just a little thing I wanted to throw in there for anybody that's planning on taking out their gauge cluster for any reason, replacement, maintenance, or just cleaning it up. Everything going back in is the reversal of how I took it apart. Gauge in, feed this back around, bolt this back up, hook it back to the column, and then just go in reverse how I put everything, how I took everything apart. And we'll see how everything works after I put everything back together.